The next thing I want to hit on is preparation for appointments. So I feel like there's sometimes, because we do this so often, we don't always take the time to actually prepare the way we need to. I mean, I think this is the same with everybody. Sometimes we just get so busy that we're like, okay, cool, I'll meet with them and I'll figure it out as I go. Meeting with people is your biggest leading indicator to more transactions. So the more that we can really focus on how do we make sure this meeting is awesome, once again, the higher conversion rate that we're going to have. So there's kind of two hats that I like to separate this into when I think about wow, I can't talk today, preparing for a meeting. So first we have like our admin side. So one thing that can really set us apart is utilizing high note. We don't have a huge utilization of this right now, and there's a lot of room for improvement. And so the reason that this is so cool is other people aren't doing this. If you want to look like you're super tech forward, super savvy, you're super professional put together, that is literally what High Note is for. So we have templates for you guys already in High Note. If you guys need a refresh, you're welcome to come to the next training when we do it anytime. If you're like, I kind of forget how to use this, get with Maddie. You can always come to our trainings that we do on High Note, but this is a huge thing you can leverage. The way that Kyle does this too is really smart. There's templates within High Note that have a video or don't have a video. I'd recommend using the one that does not have a video and shooting your own video. So there's already a buyer template. There's a seller one. It's pretty plug and play. You can make minor adjustments if you need to. But the idea is use that template and then send an intro video with it. Hey, this is Rachel at Whissel Realty. I just wanted to shoot you a quick video. I'm about to send you a packet of information before we meet, just to give you a little bit of a better idea about who we are and what we can do for you. So excited to meet with you tomorrow at 3 and we'll chat soon. That was my shitty impression of that, but of a selfie, but it's super easy, right? It puts a face to the name. Then you send that, then underneath you have the link to the High Note. So they're not like, what is this spammy weird link that somebody's sending me? It lets them know that they can click through it and go through it. So that should be part of your practice for every appointment. I guarantee other agents aren't doing that. So it already will set you apart. Even if they're not interviewing other people, they're going to see that and be like, wow, that's really professional. That's cool. Once again, staging. We got to stage our leads. I know that I hate to nag you guys about this, but if we're not staging them, we're not setting ourselves up to have the right follow-up. So we've got to get in the habit of staging those leads. And then inputting helpful notes. So I reviewed, there was an awesome Zillow call that we did on a huddle that I did a review of with somebody a couple days ago, and they knocked it out of the park. They had the best rapport. They crushed it. In their notes, they did not have half of what they talked about. And then in the FUB profile, they were asking the person questions that they'd already answered in that first call. If that agent had put in helpful, like all of those notes, they wouldn't have had to rehash, oh, I told you this already, because this person had already gone through all of that. So there's many incidences where I'm reviewing calls from everybody or just seeing kind of where we're at and what we need to work on, where you guys are asking amazing questions, but you're not taking the time to put in the notes to save yourself from having to rehash this. So utilize the ACE team. Don't feel like you have to do all of this yourself. If you just had a call, you want to debrief them, they will help you with this, but put down everything that you talked about, because then you can grasp it, use it for your next call, use it to build more rapport. If you did all the work of having the conversation, just log the notes. You can use the voice to text. If you hate typing, you can literally be walking to your car, doing something else and just type it in there so you have it. Because the worst thing we can do is they've answered a question and then we ask again, back to the doctor incident. How many of you have been to a doctor where the nurse asks you questions and the doctor comes in and asks you the same questions? And it's like, what was the point of that? Like, why did I do that just to hear it again? So save yourself the hassle of having to ask questions again and have fallout of rapport by just doing yourself a favor and putting in the notes. Okay, so that's our admin side. Now we're putting on our sales hat. We're ready to prepare for the meeting. How many of you guys are reading the notes again before your meeting? Okay, that was not as many hands as we would hope, right? So those are there to help you. There's no way, unless maybe you guys have better memory than me, and that's awesome, and I'm jealous, but I don't remember. If I don't write it down, there's a ton of things that we have to do throughout the day. If I don't write it down or have some semblance of why it's important, I'm probably going to miss some things. Do yourself a favor and just do a quick reread. What's important to them? What were the things that we talked about? How can I show up not starting from scratch and just hit the ground running? Also know what points you're going to highlight before you get there. If you have asked them before you meet what they want out of the agent that they work with, you already know I am going to talk about X, Y, and Z. These are the value props I'm going to make sure I bring up, even if the meeting goes sideways or they distract me or we get off topic. If you know your intention before you get in, you're way more likely to stick to it and get what you want out of it rather than kind of letting them run the meeting. And then our mindset too. I definitely used to be a believer that like mindset stuff was really stupid. I was always like, oh, just give me like tactical, like just tell me how, like, give me skills, like don't do that. Like that was so my thing. I was like, mindset stuff is just like so fluffy. Just like, tell me how to do it. What do I need to do? Right. I was humbled and I've learned over the past couple of years that mindset is actually just as important, if not more important than having the tactical skills, because if you're in a bad headspace when you show up, that's going to rub off on the client. So whatever you need to do to like pump yourself up or make yourself feel confident or put yourself in a better mood or forget what other things are happening, it kind of feels silly to do that before a meeting where you're like, I just got to go back to whatever. But this makes a huge difference to kind of just center with yourself before you're about to meet with a new person. Because we don't have a product to sell, our energy is a lot of why somebody will choose to work with us or not. We can't rely on a thing or something that we can sell. It's us. It's our energy, our expertise, our knowledge. So if we don't take a minute to like get ourselves in that right headspace to meet with somebody, to show up as confident, put together, even if you're frazzled and you're running late, give yourself an extra 5 seconds to take a deep breath, give yourself a pump up, and that way you'll be ready, because the worst thing you can do is do all this work and then show up not ready to go. So don't be like me and think that it's stupid, because it's not. So these are just some tips as far as how to actually prepare. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Joel.
So I'll go back in FUB if I talk to them in there. And I'll make sure my notes line up with the conversation, make sure I didn't miss anything. And then it also gives me a good idea of like what our interaction was like and what kind of personality they have, or just it's a good refresher if it's been a couple days or something. And so I'll go back and do both of those together.
I love that. So for those of you, if you guys didn't hear the first part, he was saying that he also goes back and listens to the call he first had with them just to make sure he remembers who they were, kind of what their personality was like. That's awesome.